Chapter 364, First Floor, 1. 1. There is an afterword. I don't recognize this ceiling. What I said, wrapped in white light, probably belonged in the top 100 most cliched quotations used in the history of human literature. However, it was a lie. The scenery that entered my view was not unfamiliar at all. Oh. Why am I suddenly here? This is Café Planetarium. Once the lobby of the Grand Library, now repurposed as a café. Under the lofty ceilings of the library, Bae-Hurayung floated around lightly. Looks like you got called out to some meeting or something again, zombie? And I couldn't attend because I don't have the authority? Yes, that's correct. Just as I was about to finish my sentence, a playful thought struck me. And if you had to list the people who shouldn't be pranked, Bae-Hurayung would be at the bottom. I immediately put my plan into action. The sky that gathers screams affirms the words of the Sword Emperor. Though it was just a thought, surprisingly, the message appeared. Well, it wasn't the first time I had done something like this. But for Bae-Hurayung, it was the first time he received a message from me. Bae-Hurayung, forgetting what he was about to say, stared down at me. His look was filled with various emotions, but they were starkly apparent, satisfaction and a trace of regret. Well. Yes. It's about time you were made into a constellation. You little punk. Not even 100 years old and already acting like a constellation, you've grown a lot. If you add up all the time I spent in trauma, it's probably well over 100 years? I shrugged nonchalantly. Anyway, it's just as you thought. I went to the meeting of pillars. I won. And as a prize, I got the chance to revise my skills once. What? Skill revision? There was no such thing in my time. Well, you never won against a pillar, nor do you remember them, do you? Damn it. This is hunter discrimination. Why does only Kim Zombie get such favoritism? Hey! You pillars or tower masters or whatever, if you had given me even 1/100th of the favors you give to Kim Zombie, would I be stuck here crunching on ghost crisps? Bae-Hurayung really believed his voice could reach the tower as he screamed at the top of his lungs. I just grinned. Then a man walked toward us. Hey, slob. Thump. The man was dressed in a work uniform, chewing gum nonchalantly even during his shift, his eyes so dull that it was doubtful if they were even human eyes. A man whose mere existence would drop the average moral standards of humanity by 1%. Who else could it be? It was.
Yo! So? Ha!
Why, Tailender. You were busy attacking the tower, weren't you? Why are you suddenly here? Just a moment ago, there was no one in this spot, but in the blink of an eye, you're sitting here. This corner of Café Planetarium was quite secluded. The customers were far enough away that they hadn't noticed my presence. Being a well-known figure, there would likely be a commotion if they did. You don't remember? Huh? Remember what?
Yo! So? Ha!
Furrowed his brows, clueless. I see. Of course. Hunters related to the pillars all lose their memories. Even the memories of meeting with the Wand of Ages, or taking the role F judging me.
Yo! So? Ha!
Doesn't remember any of it. It was a fact that couldn't be more obvious, but, for some reason, I felt a little bitter. Hey! I swallowed that bitterness down my throat. Do you want to see me dance?
Yo! So? Ha!
S expression seemed to say, I knew this guy was nuts, but he's really reached a new level of madness now. You mean to tell me you, of all people, are asking me to go clubbing now? No chance, kid. I'd only lose out if I got mixed up with your Duke. Are you crazy? Are you a moron? I'm not talking about a club, just asking if you'd like to see me embarrass myself doing the Cossack dance. No, what you're saying sounds even more moronic. Then,
Yo. So. Ha.
crossed his arms. He must have been intrigued. But still, he cast a doubtful glance, suspecting that I was joking. It was not an unreasonable doubt since, in the list of people that could afford to be pranked,
Yo. So. Ha.
was ranked second right after Bei Hurayong. Fine. If you want to show off in front of this old man, I suppose it's only proper to watch. Go on, dance here in the cafe. What are you doing? You madman. Cossack, dancing, that's, what? Stop it. Fuck. Don't look here. Anyone who makes eye contact with me, I'll make you anxious about what goes into your coffee whenever you order from now on. Hey. If you stare for more than 1 second, I'll spit in it, and if it's over 3 seconds, fuck, even I don't fucking know. Hey. Hey. Why are you still looking?
Yo. So. Ha.
Screamed out loud. The customers who glanced over due to the commotion turned their heads away upon meeting.
Yo. So. Ha.
Murderous gaze. The handsome part-timer at Cafe Planetarium had become more famous for his temper than his looks at this point. Phew. Wow, shit. You crazy bastard. When I said yes, to dance and you really started dancing?
Yeah.
If it's just doing the Cossack dance, I can dance anytime you want. Why are you like this? Did you eat something wrong? No. I just thought if my dancing makes this world slightly more bearable for you, then dancing is the least I can do. Finally.
Yo. So. Ha.
Expression reached its peak. It was the face of someone who had heard something he wished he hadn't. Good Lord. You really are insane. No, you were already insane. What do you call an insane person who goes mad again?
Yo. So. Ha.
I am a god who can dance for you. If a normal hunter goes mad, you report them to the civil militia, but what do you do if it's the #1 ranked guy who's lost it? Should I really be calling the Duke Ivantius house?
Yo. So. Ha.
Muttered seriously. His muttered words weren't meant to be taken seriously, but there was one thing he mentioned that I was hearing for the first time. #1 rank? What are you talking about? I'm still #2. Right.
Yo. So. Ha.
Furrowed his brow as he realized, oh, this guy didn't know yet and seemed lost in thought, sighing with an air of annoyance. Get going. Where to? Babylon Square. You could just look it up on your smartphone, but you don't carry one, do you? If you stay here any longer, it'll only cause a scene with the customers. Better leave before it gets too annoying.
Yo. So. Ha.
Waved his hands dismissively. True to his words, I had long since abandoned using a smartphone. I patted.
Yo. So. Ha.
On the back, which got me a punch in the solar plexus, but well, I took it. Damn, it hurts, and transported myself to the first floor. Upon arriving at the square, I was greeted by a massive hologram floating in the air. Plus. First, Death King. Second, Sword Saint. Third, Black Dragon Master. Fourth, Venomous Snake. 5th, count. 6th, heretic questioner. 7th, crusader. Plus. I stood dumbfounded in the middle of Babylon Square, looking up at the ranking. Hey, isn't that person over there? Death King, isn't it?
Nah.
There was no talk of him coming back yet. He might have taken a break from conquering floors and came to rest. Look. His face is exactly like in this photo. Buzz. A commotion began to stir in the square. Numerous people were coming and going in the square. Compared to when I had first challenged the 10th floor, or even the future when I had decided on 4,000 days of regression, Babylon Square was much more vibrant now. The large guilds had chosen cooperation over invasion. The 10th, 20th, 30th, 40th floors, the endlessly spreading farmlands and new markets promised an eternal new world in the tower. Raviel was my lover, and Aburka was my son. The procedures were strict and the policies precise. Under the cooperation of the large guilds and local forces, the tower was prospering. And so it was at this moment too. Not only humans from the outside world traversed the square. Though still a tiny minority, there were Empire Exchange students selected by the Duke Ivansha family, guild members of the Oni race who followed Venomous Snake into Chenmumun, and goblin warriors leading the fashion of the fire painting play, among various races walking around. There would be discrimination, certainly. There would be contempt as well. But while I was in charge of external affairs, endlessly climbing the tower, my comrades were pouring all their sweat and blood into internal affairs. At least in our world, there would be no Babylon Square turned into ruins from numerous terrorist attacks. We would not allow even a single inch of this place to fall into ruin. Never. Huh? Look over there. Someone pointed at the hologram with their hand. The reaction was minimal because most passers-by were looking at me. However, a clear change was happening on the ranking list. He pointed it with his fingertip, a change significant enough to divert people's attention. Crackle. The hologram fuzzed with static, and suddenly the letters changed. Plus. First. The sky that gathers screams. Second, Sword Saint. Third, Black Dragon Master. Fourth, Venomous Snake. Fifth, Count. Sixth, Heretic Questioner. Seventh, Crusader. Plus. As if the ranking list had been waiting for me to arrive and see myself on it, my title on the board changed. A few people witnessed this change. The sound of "ha" naturally drew people's attention. Dozens of bystanders turned their heads, and in an instant, "ha" spread throughout the entire square. What? The sky that gathers screams? That's where the Death King used to be. Did the Death King die? If he's been removed from the rankings. Could it be that the Death King is dead? The Death King is dead? The Death King is gone? The Death King has been brutally murdered.
Ah.
Dear citizens of the tower, what an exemplary process of information distortion you are showing. There were also voices like, then what's the sky that gathers screams, or, it's unlikely a new hunter took the first place just because the Death King might have died, or, that person standing there looks like the Death King himself, but all minority opinions were drowned out by the rumors of my death. The square was in turmoil for about 4 minutes. Really? The first person to rush towards me through the crowd was the Black Dragon Master. To be precise, she didn't exactly run. She used her instant transfer skill, a specialty of hers, and appeared right beside me. You just got here, and can't stand not causing a scene, can you? Hi, nice to
See ya.
ED, greeting used by Tower Master previously in CH 359. What the fuck is that? You didn't know? This is the latest greeting these days. What nonsense. No. Never mind. I'd rather crash infantry on the Maginot Line than try to understand you logically. Coming back after a long time, and you start by spreading rumors that the first-ranked hunter might be dead. It wasn't my doing. I felt somewhat wronged. I had just acquired a new alias, and it was the bystanders here who spread the rumor. Probably among the bystanders, there was a member of the Black Dragon Guild. Hearing the commotion, they must have immediately run to report to the Black Dragon Master. Thanks to that, she used instant transfer to get here even before 5 minutes had passed. It's been a while, though. Indeed, the other comrades also do not remember the events of the heavenly floors. If they did, I would have shared the discussion with the Black Dragon Master as well. That's what I thought. That's right. It's been a while. How have the other comrades been? Huh? What are you talking about? Since that was my thought, I completely didn't expect the Black Dragon Master's response. You talk as if you haven't seen us for months. Didn't you just meet the Count a few days ago? I was momentarily stunned. Yes? What do you mean, yes? I heard about it. You said the heaven floors, right? You're the only one who could climb up to such a terrifying place so nonchalantly. What would have happened if the judge had betrayed you? My eyebrows twitched. The commotion among the passers-by around us had started to settle down a bit. The Black Dragon Master appearing in person and conversing casually with me made it clear. If I had not truly been Death King, it would have been impossible, and thus, the commotion about the Death King is dead quickly subsided. Contrary to the passers-by, my heart was only being shaken violently. Hold on a second. How can you remember? I'll let you explain that yourself. Thud. Footsteps approached. It wasn't a difficult method. I dully turned my head. Guild members of the Merchant Guild, wearing cat ears, escorted someone through the crowd, making way among the onlookers. There, the Count was smiling, holding a fan. Chapter 365, First Floor, 2. 2. Come when I call you. Come, and if I tell you to act cute right in front of my nose, act cute, and if I order you to open a bag of potato chips on my behalf, then do it. Of course, you can never lie to me and must always speak the truth. And that's not all. If I ask you to meow, then meow you shall, and if I grow tired of your meowing and tell you to bark instead, then bark willingly you must. 3. The Count looked around. There are too many ears around here to have a conversation. Let's go somewhere else. It was a reasonable suggestion. We left the square. Well, although I say we left, we just moved to a cafe attached to the edge of the square. It's been a while since I've been here. This cafe was where we first met. It was the place that held the first meeting that recognized me as the vice guild leader of all of the top 5 guilds. It can be said to be a place with its own historical significance. Originally, it was occupied by the most famous franchise in the world, the Green Star Octopus Mermaid Queen. But at some point, it changed into a cat cafe. Ah, come in. Woof. Master. More precisely, it changed today. Definitely, these groups of cats that I remember seeing in Golden Heaven World, no matter how you look at them, seem to be the cat that bit a gold coin, dashed out towards the entrance. Woof. All of us are so moved by the arrival of our master that we can't contain ourselves.
Ah.
I have already prostrated myself on the ground because I can't contain myself. We have composed a Count's cheerful song out of devotion for our master, Woof. The kitties were lined up in a row, neatly prostrated with only their tails fiercely wagging. The reason why the kitties weren't meowing but barking instead, was because the Count had ordered them to do so. The Count covered her lower face with a fan. Her eyes were smiling. Your hospitality isn't bad. Well, being the merchant god, you should at least be capable of such basic tasks. Please, lead the way to our seats. Woof. We will guide you right now. The cat sprang up and led the way. The spot we arrived at was a window seat. Just sitting there seemed enough to compensate for the coffee's price, truly the most luxurious hotspot in the cafe. And literally a hotspot it was. We preheated the seats in anticipation of our master's arrival. Woof woof. Because the cats had been sitting on each chair one by one. If we can warm our master's chilled body even slightly with the temperature of our buttocks, it would be the greatest honor of our 3 lives. Woof woof. Please have a seat, master. All of us eagerly want to serve you. We've chased all the other customers away. Don't worry. We gave them 10 gold coins each and politely asked them to leave, and they left happily. If they realize that their insignificant lives have contributed to the Count's comfortable daily life, they will undoubtedly be delighted. Woof woof. What the? I shivered. I have never seen nor heard of such a servile existence. I wondered what the best use for these creatures would be. It seems there's no better punishment for them, who have mocked humans so, than to be petted by them forever. That's why I bought a cafe. From what I know, this cafe stand is the most expensive in the tower. Well, there's more than enough money to rot. We sat at the window seats. To reiterate, this was a cafe built in the square. The cats controlled the entry so no one followed us inside, but through the window, pedestrians could still easily see us. Pedestrians took photos and waved their arms, shouting through the glass window. As I gave a slightly awkward smile and waved back, a burst of cheering exploded, causing even the soundproof glass to tremble. It's scary. Wouldn't it be better to sit somewhere more secluded? No. The Black Dragon Master firmly refused. Do you know how long you've been away from your seat? I won't say you should spend 90 out of 100 days in Babylon. But you should at least stay for 30 days. You are no different from a king. There's no worse leader than a king who leaves his throne vacant. So, you came to the cafe on purpose? Yes. At least when you are on the first floor, you need to be visible to the people. It's better to allow the citizens to observe rather than hold a meeting in an unknown depth. It reassures them to feel that the highest-ranked hunters are living near them, doesn't it? So this is also a part of image management. Unlike me, Anastasia waved with a smile so skillful it was flawless. Clatter, clatter. The glass shook again. Truly, the Black Dragon Master is impeccable. Now, you might be wondering why I remember the heaven floors? The Count quickly got to the point. Yes, I am curious. Honestly, I don't understand. As you know, I made the cat that bit a gold coin kneel. Indeed, beneath the Count's chair, 4 cats were neatly kneeling. I recognized that the Count had made a pun, though I didn't react. Tisk. The Count flicked her fan. I forced absolute obedience on the merchant god. But in reality, my target was something else. To hide a beast, first you need to create a forest to hide it, and for me, absolute obedience was a kind of forest. Then, what was the beast? The fact that they could never lie to me. I recalled those words. Of course, you can never lie to me and must always speak the truth. That condition was definitely included in the Count's terms of surrender. Noticing that I had remembered, the Count nodded her head once. Seeing the look in your eyes, it seems your brain is still very sharp, Kim Gongja. Then, let me ask you. SHRRK, the Count's fan folded. Did the cat that bit a gold coin lose its memory? I blinked. What? A simple question. The Wand of Ages can distort the memories of hunters and constellations. So, simply thinking, the cat that bit a gold coin seemed to have lost its memories of the heaven floor and the pillar. However, I suddenly thought about it after hearing that story. The Count tapped the table with the tip of her fan. That can't be possible, is what I thought. The Count did not explain why she thought it was impossible. Instead, the cats lying under the table perked up their ears. Woof! What you thought is correct, Master. We are in cooperative relationship with the Wand of Ages. When that pillar sends souls, we receive them. Even if other constellations can't remember about the pillar, we, as collaborators of the heaven floor, must remember. I see. I felt like I had grasped the full story. Nisha lost her memory, but the merchant god retained theirs. Then, Nisha asked the cats about what happened to learn the whole truth, since lying was not an option. Nisha realized the whole story of the events. Oh my! Now you two are even calling each other by your real names. Anastasia murmured as if amazed next to us. No, she also looked dumbfounded. The Count shrugged her shoulders and then picked up one of the cats, placing it on her lap. Wah, wah. Right. But that alone wasn't enough to be sure. The Count stroked the cat's head. Shivering. Trembling, the cat was terrified like a mortal who received the petting from a mythical monster. For me, I needed a guarantee that no matter what happened, the pillar would not tamper with the merchant god's memories. Unfortunately, I wasn't in a position to force such a guarantee on the pillar. From the pillar's perspective, I am merely a hunter. Counterintuitive thinking. It's simple. If I create a situation where, no matter what happens, the pillar cannot touch the merchant god's memories, wouldn't that solve the problem? The Count tapped the top of the cat's head. The cat trembled. Woof! We, according to the agreement, became the Count's slaves. That was the decisive blow. The moment we became slaves, the Wand of Ages could no longer distort our memories, no matter what. Why is that? Because that would be a complete mockery of our cat lives. The tricolor cat swayed and wriggled its tail. If the pillar erased our memories, we would become slaves to the Count overnight without knowing why this happened or having any clue. Isn't that unreasonable? Literally in the blink of an eye, we became servants to the most noble person in the world. Woof! Of course, we are very pleased with this situation and praise the elegance of our master just like now, but objectively, it's merely an act of extreme violence. That's right. The Count rubbed the cat's ears, causing the cat to jump in surprise and pathetically protest with meow. Wah, woof. Bark bark, but to no avail. In essence, a point where memories cannot be rolled back. A definitive starting point where they can neither be erased nor distorted was necessary for me. That's why I left you to stir things up in Golden Heaven World, subtly pushing the merchant god until it succumbed. As soon as she heard about the summoning for judgment and suspected that manager of the Golden Heaven World might be the cat that bit a gold coin, the Count aimed for the merchant god's surrender. I moved my lips after hearing the Count's grand scheme. Weren't you worried? About what? What if the Wand of Ages had a vicious nature? It might have embraced such irrational violence. How could you trust that pillar? The Count's eyes widened. She then covered her mouth with the fan, chuckling softly. What are you talking about? Kim Gongja. I have never trusted the Wand of Ages, not even once. What? But I trusted you, instead. The Count looked at me. You care about the tower more than anyone. If the pillar managing that tower had been a ruthless tyrant, you would have been the first to crush it, wouldn't you? You tolerated the existence of that pillar. It wasn't a feeling of helpless acceptance. Kim Gongja. If you respect a human, then that person must truly possess a worthy character. From a distance, the cats waddled over to us. They served us each a cup of coffee. The Count held an Americano in one hand and smiled broadly. Just as you trust my abilities, I trust your judgment. Nisha. You are our leader, and we are your colleagues. I firmly believe that colleagues strive to be equals. The Count said. What we did, how we approached the stage, what conversations we had, a world remembered only by Kim Gongja alone. Oh dear. I would firmly reject such a notion from my side. As she said this, the smile that the Count wore was one that could make anyone understand why Patricia, who is almost the complete opposite in personality, had fallen for her. I have lost my memories. But when I opened my eyes, there were these cats squirming at my feet. I asked what had happened, and the cats showed me a high-definition hologram of what occurred in the heavenly floor. I'd like to boast that everything went exactly as I had planned. Woof woof. The cats that had delivered coffee to the Count now pressed down on the hem of my pants. 3 cats were together lifting a tray. White mocha frappuccino venti quad shot java chip half and half chocolate drizzle. I had not ordered it, but the cats brought my custom menu item. I chuckled and looked back at their master. It's a gift. I was momentarily speechless. Of course, the real gift is something else. Really. I just wanted to say this to you. Really. Come now, Kim Gongja. You have worked hard conquering the heavens. We will always remember the hardships you faced. There's really only one thing you need to remember. Really, my colleagues are amazing. Even if you leave us alone, we will never leave you alone. Right now, I am probably making a face too embarrassing to show to the pedestrians. To hide my expression, I took a sip of my coffee. The white mocha that day was exceptionally sweet. Chapter 366, First Floor, 3. 4. Thus, reassured by the fact that my reliable comrades were guarding the rear, I was ready to ascend the tower again, I would like to say. But there was still work left to do around the first floor. Where are you going? There are hundreds, thousands of interviews that have been put off. It was already a burden being cautious of the press, but this is a good opportunity. Let's settle this now. From Anastasia's gaze, it seemed like there was quite a bit of work remaining. And there's this too, Kim Gongja. There's going to be the first marriage between our hunters and the goblins. What? Yes, I had the same expression when I first heard the news. It seems too fast, but it's certainly something to celebrate, right? The wedding hasn't happened yet. Since you are the oldest friend and a god to the goblins, go and give them your blessings. Wait, just a moment. Wait. Interviews come first. Hey. Kim Gongja. You bastard. I rushed over to congratulate them. The goblins have a unique marriage culture. Each partner rakes out their own hearth at home, and transfers the burning embers to a lantern. At the wedding, they combine the flames they each brought into one. Guests also bring empty lanterns to the ceremony. Once the couple's flames merge, the guests convey their congratulations and transfer some of the fire to their lanterns. Guests then carry this newly kindled ember back to place in their own hearths. It signifies that all guests vouch for the birth of the couple. In homes without a hearth, they at least kindle a campfire. It's a pretty spectacular wedding for the fire-worshipping and group-honoring goblins, but naturally, there's a problem. We don't have a hearth at home. What do we do, Death King? The hunter from the couple looked gloomy. That's right. Our citizens, enjoying the pinnacle of modern, no, future civilization, naturally don't maintain hearths. Ugh. I don't obsess over such things. Isn't love enough? Oh, my love. But I am interested in the customs of my love's people too. Surely a good idea will come to us if we press our foreheads together. My love. Your heart is more delicate than the dew-dropped flowers at dawn. Indeed. Only a couple this much in love would be the first among their races to marry. Yes, that's right. Aha. This is a fine moment indeed. I felt the sweetness gushing from my stomach, refluxing up to my throat, but I forced a smile. Gasp. I've shown something I shouldn't have in front of the great Kirka, Ugh. Please be understanding. It's okay. It's only right that I, who came uninvited to the couple's home, should endure this. That's right. That's why I told you to be understanding. So that's how it is, huh? Like a burqa, and my children really lack the grace in treating a god. Being the first of its kind, this marriage is bound to attract a lot of attention. The major guilds are even planning to promote this as a harmony between races. But that might make you uncomfortable, right? Ugh. Is that so? The goblin tilted his head, but the hunter next to him cautiously nodded. It's just cultural differences. I knew it. It was good that I came running. I'll make sure to keep the journalists away from the wedding venue. Who needs miscellaneous people interfering in the sacred union of flames? I spoke as if I was talking to the goblin, but first I reassured the hunter. And on this occasion, I'll set up a sacred flame right in the middle of the square. Ugh, a sacred flame. I'll personally use my aura to prepare the embers. I'll install a device like an Olympic torch relay stand in the square to keep my flame burning continuously. I turned to look at the hunter. Then you can take the ember from there and bring it to the wedding. From the goblin's point of view, it's as good as carrying a god's flame, more than enough. Of course, whether you respect the goblin's marriage culture or not is entirely up to your agreement. Thank you for your consideration. The hunter bowed repeatedly, almost excessively. I gave a bitter smile. After all, it was an issue I had to address sooner or later, so I actively jumped into it, but from that person's point of view, it was as if the number one ranked individual had stepped up for them. Having someone immensely high-ranking block the media and set something up right in the middle of the most expensive square in Babylon was bound to be overwhelmingly burdensome. It reminds me of when I married Raviel. Back then, renowned nobles from across the empire had flocked to the ceremony. Compared to Raviel, my social and class status was lower, so much so that I needed to be adopted as a foster child by the chamberlain of the imperial court. Even now, in the empire, it's more convenient to conduct official business under the title of Duke Ivantia's wife, rather than Lion World's #1 ranked hunter. Am I the only one? The Black Dragon Master and the Heretic Questioner also each have nominal noble titles. That's the difference between worlds. This is all I can do for you. In the end, it was my choice whether to see it as Raviel's consideration or accept it as my burden when Raviel used her power to call the Imperial Chamberlain and have him go through the adoption process. I support the couple in front of me. If two people, transcending differences in status and even race, are involved, they will undoubtedly navigate their future wisely. I will prepare an etiquette that is impeccable from the goblin's perspective and keep the media as quiet as possible. However, there will certainly be difficulties that you must face yourself.
What
about the media? How will you handle that? Well, it's simple. I grinned broadly. If you throw them an even bigger scoop than an interracial marriage, that will be enough. 5. Shock. A new race encountered. From the day before the wedding, the media was ablaze. It's proven that sentient beings are living in a city on the 5th basement level. A glamorous city was hidden on the 5th floor's basement, previously considered a normal hunting ground. An unexpected encounter. What are the entities of the underground city like? Was the urban legend true? It said that it's darkest under the lamp, but this lamp's bottom is extremely strong. Black Dragon Master, upon hearing the news, stated, "It's shocking but I welcome them." The media really flared up. Die. Please just die, you crazy freak. As proof, Anastasia was currently barging into my lodging in real time and choking me. Gah, can't breathe. I'm going crazy. Do you want to see me collapse from overwork and die? As it is, my workload is like Everest, and you throw this massive event on top of it to ease your mind. Anastasia was shaking my neck violently up, down, left, and right while holding it tightly. This wasn't a joke. Anastasia's grip was filled with a dark aura. She was a hunter who wouldn't be outdone in aura by anyone, not even by me. Please, I'm dying, can't breathe, seriously, going to die. Yes. Die. Just die. After all, you've died before anyway. Just die and go back to yesterday before this mess started and fix everything right now. Help, help me. It wasn't until I was almost on the verge of departing this world that Anastasia finally let me go, gasping heavily as if sending me off to the afterlife.
Ha.
All right. I'll listen to your excuses. No, how did you even know there was an underground civilization on the 5th floor in the first place? I caught my breath and replied. Phew. Well, I met a constellation called Musha on the 62nd floor. Musha? Yes. Its formal alias is the ox that harvests ruins. It has the ability to regress people, understanding what kind of lives they can lead and the various possibilities they hold. The Black Dragon Master slightly furrowed her brows. What? That's cheating, isn't it? Yep. A total cheat character. Anyway, this cheat had fought with me and pulled all sorts of tricks. If the Flame Emperor had not obtained the Returner's clockwork watch, it was a world that would have been established on such a hypothesis. There, I had forged my future without being stripped of my life by Flame Emperor. By roaming relentlessly between the 2nd and 9th floors, I ultimately discovered a city hidden underground on the 5th floor, thanks to a combination of coincidence and luck. Musha showed me my possibilities, which incidentally led me to discover the 5th floor's underground civilization. Now that I know about it, I might as well make use of it. I understand the situation, but you should have blown this up later. At this rate, our guys might not be able to handle the work and will collapse. Actually, that's part of what I was aiming for. Huh? Anastasia asked with a look of disbelief on her face. But I was serious. The heads of the guilds, like us, fully trust each other now. But it's different for the guild members under us. They've been fighting tooth and nail for years. Do you think they'll suddenly start cooperating and laughing together? That's... Yes. For now, they'll restrain themselves from fighting, if only to keep an eye on us guild leaders. But this is a matter of emotions. The top-ranked hunters had chosen the path of cooperation after countless stages of turmoil. But it's different for ordinary guild members. They hadn't been actively involved in conquering stages past the 12th floor. Sharing hardships together was an experience they lacked. You're right, Anastasia. We're busy. As if we weren't busy enough, we've now encountered an underground civilization on the 5th floor. Now, no single guild can handle their tasks alone. So, I deliberately created an experience. To avoid dying from overwork, the guilds must cooperate. Only by all guilds cooperating fully can these hellish tasks be completed. Oh my God. Past conflicts? Old grudges? They're all fine. But just imagine having to pull an all-nighter for 9 months to see the end of these tasks. Do you think the guild members don't want to sleep or go home? They'll have to cooperate, no question. You really are a devil. Anastasia had a horrified expression. I just shrugged my shoulders. In essence, for the next few months, all the major guilds will operate as if they were one company. That's all well and good, but how are you going to alleviate our guys' stress? There's an easy target for stress relief. Just reveal that I was the one who discovered the underground civilization. All guild members will unanimously condemn me, and it'll all end with me taking the heat. So you're the scapegoat? Yes. After all, that's also a leader's responsibility. Besides, dropping crumbs for the guild members to pick up is also my role, as I'm the one conquering stages alone. In a way, I am an object of love and hate for the members of the giant guilds. They despise me because I significantly increase their workload, and they love me because they gain benefits from many stages thanks to me. If someone has to take the heat, it's better if I do it. Don't want to work? Then just quit the giant guild. Leaving behind numerous rights. Even now, hunters who would gladly work like oxen are pleading just to be hired by the giant guilds. Only hunters who can move relatively freely beyond the 11th floor are essentially members of the giant guilds. We strictly regulate hunters' entries to minimize the shock they experience in other worlds, making it quite difficult for hunters from minor guilds to seize opportunities. There are hunters like Alchemist, who have succeeded purely on their own skills. If the joke that you live longer the more you get criticized is true, Kim Gongja, you're going to live a very long time. Not just a long life, but it seems I'm set to live forever. Huh? I'll explain later. I turned my head and looked at the laptop screen. Articles enthralled by the discovery of the 5th floor underground civilization scrolled by. Among the flood of summer articles, there was one small, modest article floating. The first marriage between a Babylonian and a goblin takes place. A modest but beautiful ceremony. The citizens bless. I smiled and closed the laptop. Chapter 367, Reverse Scale 1. 1. Not everything went as smoothly as the wedding. Time flew by rapidly. I closed my eyes for a moment, and when I opened them, a month had passed. It was literally a blink of an eye. It was almost unfair how time had sped on without me. It can't be helped. Isn't it said that the older you get, the faster time seems to go? Even if my physical age says one thing, my mental age is totally out of it. I tried to calculate how old I really was, but I gave up once the numbers surpassed 3 digits. It's okay. My body is still in its 20s. This really sounds like I'm trying to convince myself I'm still in my 20s. Glory to the moon of Ivantia. Duchess, as you commanded, we have surrounded the gates. As I was brooding over the cruelty of time, a knight approached and saluted. I snapped back to reality. Well done, Captain of the Knights. It's nothing. Did you send an envoy for their surrender, and they still have not responded? Yes. They are vowing to fight to the death till the end. How foolish. I clicked my tongue. Surrounded by the elite troops of the Duke Ivantia's family, including the captain of the knights, like an impregnable fortress, the military discipline was stringent. A grand army of 6,000 men had surrounded a small town. If you ask how I, who until recently was giving interviews on the 1st floor, ended up in the middle of a medieval battlefield, the reason is simple. Raviel was nearly assassinated. To be more precise, she was assassinated. 2. After winning a duel against the Wand of Ages, I had been staying on the first floor for a while. As Anastasia had strongly suggested, I needed to show my face to people occasionally. But it was during the peaceful conclusion of the interspecies marriage ceremony and the onset of the underground civilization commotion. During an interview with a journalist, a message rang in my head. Skill activated. I was puzzled. Because I hadn't used any skill. Noticing my strange demeanor, the journalist conducting the interview asked, "What's the matter?" Trying to respond with a smile, pretending it was nothing, I experienced for the first time the activation of a certain skill. A regressor's love EX is activated. That was the starting point. You share a timeline with the other person. The timeline has ended. Wah, what? My vision spun. It muddled up like ink-stained spaghetti. I could hear the journalist panicking, "Death King?" Death King, from afar, but even his voice quickly faded. You have died. You regress 24 hours. And thus, I probably for the first time in my life experienced death while really doing nothing. Die. Please just die, you crazy freak. When I blinked, the scenery had changed. The journalist who was interviewing me had vanished. Instead, Anastasia was shaking me back and forth vigorously, holding onto my neck. I had returned 24 hours in time. This is insane. I realized the full story of why I suddenly died. The message clearly stated that a regressor's love had been activated. A regressor's love is a skill that allows Raviel and me to share the exact same timeline. If I go back one day, Raviel also goes back one day, so the two of us always breathe on the same timeline. If Raviel dies, meaning if her time ends, naturally, my time ends as well. We die together. But I have Returner's clockwork watch. If I face death, I immediately regress 24 hours. My timeline is rewound, and so is Raviel's. In short, as long as the skills, a regressor's love and Returner's clockwork watch, are functioning, we will never face a complete death. We just regress for a day. I hadn't been in any danger of dying just moments ago. Literally, I hadn't done anything. Yet the fact that the clockwork watch had activated meant that it wasn't I who had died, but someone else. It signified Raviel's death. That's right. You crazy bastard. Die. Just die. Of course, Anastasia hadn't realized that I had just regressed. She must have misunderstood the muttering, "This crazy," that slipped from my lips. You don't have to shout at me to die like that. Anastasia. I murmured. I had already died a moment ago. What? I came back from tomorrow to today. Right now. Only then did Anastasia take a good look at my face. What the? Why does your face look like that? What's wrong with my face? You look like you're about to kill someone. It's slightly scary. Was it such a shocking death that you have to wear that expression now? This time, the situation is different. Oh. I see. It was different. May I ask in what way it was different? It wasn't me who died, it was Raviel. For some reason, Anastasia's complexion turned noticeably paler. Silence ensued. Anastasia loosened her grip from my neck. Then she closed her eyes tightly and sighed as if the ground was caving in. This is crazy. I apologize for initiating the underground civilization matter without prior consultation. But I believe this incident will lead to stronger cooperation among the members of the major guilds. If you need a scapegoat, use me. That's... Well, that might be possible. Anastasia. Go on. I'm really sorry to burden you with work during these busy times, but I'm going to the Empire. I spoke quietly, in a voice that sounded unusually cold even to my own ears. It's difficult to say how long it will take. However, I promise to deal with the matter as quickly as possible and return. Kim Gongja. Yes. Try not to kill too many. I can't promise that. I took the holy sword. Kayak? PSSHH. The holy sword, along with the snake and fox who were playing with it, looked up at me as if to ask, "What's going on?" But the two constellations, upon seeing my face, promptly shut their mouths. The snake quietly climbed onto my wrist and coiled there. Fox silently turned into a scarf. I didn't wait for the constellations to wrap around me and walked out into the corridor of the residence. Sylvia Evanale. Sylvia was waiting in the corridor of the residence. Sylvia, once known as the Lady of the Golden Silk, had completely become my subordinate after the defeat of the Ox that Harvests Ruins. She was the Grand Chamberlain of our household. Sylvia looked clearly bored. She was idly yawning in the corridor when my call made her flinch. Yes. Family head? Gather all the household members. However, there's no need to summon those who are far away. I'll give you 5 minutes, so all the household members who can gather now should meet in the garden. Eck. It's annoying. Plus, 5 minutes is too short. Why suddenly? Sylvia's eyes met mine. The will of the family head is as high as the heavens. Yes. I'll gather the guys right away. Yahoo work, it's work. I'm really happy to be working. Damn it. Sylvia dashed off. I went down to the garden to wait first. The place I was staying at was a sort of communal residence. Not only my family members and I but also the Black Dragon Master, Heretic Questioner, Count, Crusader, and others lived together. However, it wasn't quite right to say we lived in the same mansion. Each of us stayed in separate buildings, and the only shared space was, at most, the garden. Family members quickly gathered in that only communal space. The first to arrive was Estelle. Within the family, Estelle held the position of an advisor and was the heir who would lead the household in my stead in case of emergencies. Estelle exchanged a look with me and quietly waited. She did not ask why she had been urgently summoned or what the matter was. Following Estelle was Kim Yul. After Kim Yul, it was the 4 demon lords. After the 4 demon lords, the followers gathered. They alternated their gazes between me and Estelle, and like Estelle, they kept their lips sealed. Finally, 5 minutes had passed. Although many family members had not yet arrived, I had no intention of delaying any longer. Even waiting those 5 minutes required a great deal of patience. Where is Aburka? He is on the 5th floor, assisting the underground people with negotiations. Father. Estelle responded expressionlessly. The goblins love the smell of the earth and find the dampness of the underground comforting. We anticipated they would communicate well with the race that engineered the underground civilization, so we dispatched him. Should I call him here? No. That's okay. We don't have time. I turned away. About 100 family members were looking at me. They were not particularly flustered by the sudden call, but they were curious about the reason for this assembly. I answered their questions. Raviel is dead. Thud. The sound of breathing stopped in the garden. I smiled. To be precise, she will die tomorrow. Thanks to my skill, I was able to know of Raviel's death in advance. Truly, it's as if heaven itself is helping. It was a joke on my part. As the representative of Makian, saying that I foresaw Raviel's death through my skill meant that it was nothing less than heavenly assistance. However, no one reacted to the joke. Not even a forced smile from any of the vassals. Estelle's expression hardened. Kim Yul closed his eyes. Among the 4 demon lords, the sword demon sweated coldly, and the flame ghost demon sighed heavily. I can't even imagine what kind of bastard harmed Raviel. I don't know how twisted and brain-dead one's brain must be to do such a thing. I lifted the corners of my mouth. Since no one else would laugh at my joke, I might as well laugh myself. But there is one thing for certain, that bastard's imagination is far inferior to mine. Why? Because they can't imagine hell. Whatever hell that bastard imagined, compared to the hell he will experience from now on, it would be nothing but a blissful heaven. I will show that there is no one more capable of creating hell on earth than someone who dares to speak of heaven, and I intend to show that. I turned my back. I didn't ask them to follow or come with me, I simply started walking. The footsteps of 100 people followed behind me. You are being transported to the 25th floor. The destination was Sormwin Academy. Originally the top academy of the Empire, Sormwin had developed further once a trade agreement was established between Babylon and the Empire. An agency responsible for the exchange had been set up, and homes for the bureaucrats working there were established. Rare trade items from Babylon were handled by new officials created for that purpose. Now, Sormwin was more a city than merely an academy. As soon as I was transported, an imperial bureaucrat warmly greeted me. Welcome. Welcome to the Empire. Excuse me, but may I ask the purpose of your visit? I am the wife of the Duke of Ivantia. I looked at the bureaucrat. I'm here not for Babylon's matters but for a family matter. The bureaucrat's face soon turned pale. 100 of my vassals had been transported along with me. The immigration office, no, rather the tower entry checkpoint, was flustered by our sudden appearance. Let me reiterate, this is a family matter. Regrettably, I didn't have the leisure to persuade them step by step. If you don't want to make an enemy of the Duke Ivantia's family, get lost. Right now. The bureaucrat couldn't stop me. The knights and soldiers guarding the checkpoint made way. Hunters dispatched from Babylon, and guild members belonging to the Black Dragon and the Merchant Guild, upon seeing my face, also promptly returned to their posts. I headed towards the Ivantia Duke's family annex built next to Sormwin. My lady. What in the world is this about? The Duke's soldiers were flustered as they blocked my path. If you were coming, you should have sent us a notice so we could prepare to receive you. I don't know what right you have to block my way when you couldn't even protect your lord. Why yes. I smiled wanly. I'd like to tie you all up and hold you accountable for your crimes, but I'd rather see Raviel's face first. I won't say it twice. Move aside. Well, it doesn't really matter if you don't move. What? It means I don't have time to waste on the likes of you. I nodded slightly. Estelle moved. She applied a joint lock on the soldier, neutralizing him instantly. A beat later, the followers acted. In just a moment, the Duke's annex was subdued by force. The Blue Lion Knights tried to resist, but like old leaves crumbling, they were easily trampled. I walked down the corridor. 6 chamberlains were stationed in front of the bedroom where Raviel was staying. All were trained to guard against assassinations, treasured confidants of Raviel. Usually, they were reliable, but now in my eyes, they were just leeches sucking on the Duke's payroll. My lady. Step back, Moon of Ivantia. Even if you are the lady, you cannot just barge in, dash. Was there any need to listen to this nonsense festival? No. I lightly used aura to strike the vital points of the 6 chamberlains. The chamberlains collapsed in the corridor. No sounds or groans were allowed. They remained conscious but merely floundered on the floor. I had made it so intentionally. I wanted them to feel the deep humiliation of not being able to block my path for even a second. Leaving the trembling chamberlains behind, I opened the door to the bedroom. Creak dash. The door opened. Raviel was sitting in a chair, looking down at her watch. Despite all the chaos and villainy I had caused, Raviel wasn't particularly surprised. Instead, she lightly nodded as if she had expected this. 13 minutes and 27 seconds, huh? Her red eyes moved from the watch to look at me. I thought if you came alone, it would take less than 5 minutes, and if you brought forces, it wouldn't take more than 15 minutes. Indeed. The distance between us was 13 minutes. I'm sorry I'm late, Raviel. I smiled. So, which son of a bitch do I need to kill? Raviel gave a bitter smile. Chapter 368, Reverse Scale, 2. 3. First, calm down, Gongja. Your eyes are filled with murderous intent. Raviel lightly tapped the chair beside her. The fan used to tap the armrest was a high-quality item I had gifted. I bit my lip. It wasn't just an expensive gift. It was my teacher's cherished item, a fan that Namgungan, the former leader of the Martial Alliance who had retired as the Taesang Hobiop of the Chenmumun, had put his heart and soul into making. Raviel must have guessed that I would barge in. She was wise. She found a way to suppress my emotions far more effectively than merely telling me to calm down. Indeed, Raviel's intention hit the mark. Seeing an object even remotely connected to my master poured ice over my burning heart. Though it was merely pouring an ice cube into lava. If not now, when should I harbor murderous intent? Whenever that time may be, even if it's this very moment, it is clear that the place for you to harbor murderous intent should not be before my eyes. It's not a question of timing, but rather of location. I understand. But I do not wish for my anger to become dull. The more I talk with you, Raviel, the more my reason will reign in my emotions. I spoke softly. No, from the moment I realized Raviel's death, my voice only flowed quietly. Not to maintain composure, but quite the opposite. I did not want the heat of my anger that stained my heart to leak out through my mere voice. Not even a single bit. I want to stain my hands with blood in pure rage, with raw emotion. Please tell me first, who dared to lay their hands on you, Raviel? To my ears, it just sounds like you want to go crazy. You heard right. Raviel lifted the corners of her lips. She seemed pleased, as if she had found a new toy, and for a brief moment, she seemed to shudder at the waves of my emotions. Seeing the curve of her lips etched on her pale face, I realized. It was over. Raviel was more interested in my reaction, enraged by her death, than her own death itself. Do you want to kill the one who killed me? Yes. A taste of blood was in my mouth. The teeth I had bitten into my lips had dug into the red flesh. How do you want to kill them? I want to tear them apart and kill them. I knew where this conversation was going and into which sea it would flow. Knowing this, I turned my teeth into a wheel of fate, my tongue into a stream, and replied. I couldn't remain silent to the question of my beloved. Never. I want to finally slice the lips following the line of the teeth. I must see how their voice becomes distorted and hideous through the gaps between their torn teeth and shredded lips. And the eyes? I'll gouge them out and connect the lost blood vessels and nerves with my aura. Then, I'll place them back into the sockets. Every time they blink, I'll make them feel pain that makes them wish they were blind. Raviel's smile deepened further. Now, it was visible even to the eyes. A slight spasm under her left ear, the thin neckline twitched. Raviel was tasting the rare sight of her husband's madness, having completely lost his reason. Raviel. That's it. My consideration was not deep enough. Close the door. Raviel gestured with her eyes towards the wide-open bedroom door behind me. I can't leave your voice and this face to be possibly admired by others. It's a luxury that should be allowed only to me. Close it, Gongja. I closed the door. The air in the bedroom grew more toxic. The poison was the scent of blue lilies. What about the hands? The wrists? The back of the hands? The fingers? The nails? What do you intend to do? The source of the poison was her red eyes. I want to hear. I opened my mouth. Listen. My love. I told her. Every conceivable hell that even hell itself would scoff at as lukewarm, a white-hot purgatory, flowed from my mouth, holding the warmth of my heart and the poison of my blood. Raviel indulged in my warmth and poison to her heart's content. It would be fair to say she devoured it. The more my rage demanded red blood, the glossier Raviel's red eyes became. They gleamed brightly. My venom was sweet to her, like vitality. So, will you kill them like that? Raviel asked languidly, like a sated lion, as if she had finished all her feasting. Yes. Among the shadows you've gathered, those who are not killers are the rarity. Some are murderers, and others even mass murderers. Whoever killed me rightly deserves to pay the price, Gongja. I have no intention of stopping you from ensuring they pay that price, my love. However, I am uncertain whether the weight of the price will be justly measured. I pressed my forehead. Raviel was demanding fairness from me. I, who had accepted Estelle and even forgiven.
So? Ha!
Raviel was saying that the standards I set when I accepted them should be applied just the same this time. Raviel, but... Do you think I would not have felt the same rage if you had died? My heart slowed. After sharing rings with me, how many times do you think you have died? How many times do you think I have restrained myself? Gongja. Raviel smiled. You will need to endure as much as I have. I couldn't say anything. Raviel knew my rage and the way to suppress it. She also knew the exact words to ensure I would never unleash that rage. Even if I had something more to say, it wouldn't have been able to come out of my mouth. Raviel pulled my wrist and covered my lips with hers. It was hot. Enough to scald my tongue. Clearly, she had taken all the heat spewed from my heart. The closed door did not open. 4. Eventually, when we calmed down and began to talk calmly, the sun had set, and the silver moon flickered through the window. It's the Crown Prince. Raviel spoke in a voice that had considerably cooled down. The low tone of her voice always felt like it was submerged in an icy sea. It was the voice of Raviel I loved. Damn it. However, the information Raviel revealed included a character I could never like. That ramen noodle bastard. Isn't it enough that he's got noodle hair? Now has his brain also swelled up like udon noodles? I always look forward to what you'll compare the Crown Prince to. Satisfactory as always. My anger, which had barely subsided over 4 hours, reignited. But where the fire had already swept through, only ashes remained. Raviel had intended it, and a similar level of anger did not arise again. Moisture seeped into places the ember had not burned. It was reason. It was cold judgment. Reason clung to my skull like old dampness, and I let my judgment flow, almost out of habit. Indeed. If not for the royal family, who else would dare to harm the Duke of Ivantia? Once the wheels started turning, the rest was simple. My thoughts spun quickly. However, the current emperor is a wise ruler. He knows that the power within the empire is leaning towards the Ivantia family. This must be the arbitrary act of the crown prince alone, not the machination of the entire imperial family. Raviel rested her chin in her hand. She was enjoying this, gesturing with her eyes for me to continue speaking. But if Raviel dies, everyone will immediately suspect the royal family. The emperor will claim his innocence, but it will be hard to quell people's suspicions. That's when the crown prince will incite a rebellion against the emperor. Crack. Even as I clenched my molars, I articulated my reasoning. The emperor, blinded by power, assassinated a loyal subject of the empire, the Duke of Ivantia. As the crown prince, I cannot simply watch the empire crumble. Thus, with tears of blood, I will rise in revolt. Though it may be disloyal to my father, if I alone can bear the disgrace to save the empire, I will gladly take up the sword. Raviel did not contradict my words. Her reaction instilled confidence in me. Crazy bastard. A noodle-brained bastard blinded by power. After sparing his life because he's the heir to the empire, after turning a blind eye out of consideration for the emperor and the royal family's dignity. The audacity. Although he is no longer engaged to you, the crown prince was once Raviel's fiancé. Even though it ended unhappily, I cannot overlook the death of a noble who I was once engaged to. He plans to gain the support of the ducal family with this plausible justification. How unfortunate. Raviel sighed sweetly. People always marvel at your inaction. None of them know that there's also a well-concealed sword in your head. But what would they know, right? I coughed awkwardly. If the crown prince gains the support of the ducal family, it effectively means he has the nobility on his side. He must have calculated that a coup would have a high chance of success. Yes, in his own head. I looked at Raviel. For this plan to succeed, he need to plant the conviction in people that the emperor is the assassin who killed the Duke of Ivantia. Raviel. Where will you close your eyes tomorrow? The moon of Ivantia is so wise, the people of the empire should rejoice. Raviel wholly affirmed my reasoning. I was waiting in the imperial palace to meet his majesty. Of course. It was not in direct assassination but poisoning. The idiot who abandoned Raviel and had an affair with the lady of the golden silk, with his fair face, must have seduced even an imperial chamberlain or two. Correct? Even if I were to give 120 points on a paper out of 100, no one would criticize. It's a given that the crown prince himself wasn't in the palace at that time. He would need to avoid suspicion. Perhaps he went hunting? 150 points.
Ha!
Using hunting as an excuse, he must have taken a few of the imperial guards with him. The moment he heard of Raviel's death, he would storm the palace with his soldiers. 200 points. This is troubling, Gongja. Even if I am the duke, giving more than double the perfect score might make people doubt my fairness as an examiner. Are you trying to subject me to biased judgment? Fine. I'll go kill the crown prince and those who joined him on his hunt, then come back. 100 points. And now you are back to a score of 100 again. Your consideration is truly deep. I looked at Raviel. Raviel looked back at me. Now that I think about it, 5 hours is too little to suppress my rage. Oh ho. The more I think about it, it's been a while since Raviel and I have had time alone like this, and it's incredibly annoying that we can't fully enjoy this time because of that damn crown prince. Bastard. So? Just play with me all day. Are you planning give over a day to the crown prince's bunch? No. After a day of play, we'll turn the day over again. A brilliant plan. I see no reason to refuse your proposal. We played all day long. You have died. You will return to 24 hours ago. And we played another day. You have died. You will return to 24 hours ago. As we played, it became difficult to find a reason not to play for another day. You have died. You will return to 24 hours ago. The world? Assassinations? Power struggles and political battles? All can go away. For now, I'm going to play with the person I love. You have died. You will return to 24 hours ago. It took us a whole week to come to our senses. The silver moon was still twinkling in the same spot through the window. Raviel and I, side by side, rested our chins on our hands, contemplated together, and muttered together. Was it a bit too much? It seems it was a bit too much. Indeed, a week was too long. Indeed, a week might have been too long. Then we should play just one more day. Yes. Let's play just one more day and restrain ourselves. You have died. You will return to 24 hours ago. So, 2 weeks passed. I'll keep my mouth shut about the mess we made during those 2 weeks. But, if you could turn back time, and people wouldn't remember what you did during that reverse time, just imagine what you would do. We did about 3 times that of your imagination. We were perfectly satisfied. What's the plan now, Gongja? In Raviel's voice, satisfied to perfection, I shrugged. First, I'll go find the crown prince. Don't kill him. If you're going to kill, it shouldn't be now but when no one cares, quietly make him disappear. Yes. I'll be back. Right. I won't kill him. I'll just show him pain worse than death,